that message alone is so powerful. Most people will not send that.
Because women are very, most women need that affection, that reassurance, that conversation, that emotional, affectionate love. Whereas men, their idea of love is...
What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. We have back again, Miss Lanasia.
Hey, everybody.
If you do not know who she is, could you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Lanasia Angelina, a life coach, author, speaker, lover of life, lover of Christ. And I am the leader of Transformations Coaching Agency, where we help entrepreneurs and ambitious professionals to transform their lives from the inside out. I am also the founder of the Black Woman Transform Movement. That helps women to connect with other sisters, other like-minded women who are goal-getters in their pursuit of transforming their lives, transforming their life through Christ's life and their career.
She was on another episode. If you guys haven't seen that, then we will link that. Make sure that you do check that out. Absolutely phenomenal. Today, we're gonna get into some stuff. Rodney, go ahead. He made the subject. I want you to go ahead and do your thing.
You know, we're gonna roll with this, but just understand, we're gonna talk today about what do men and women want. Okay, so this can flow any way it wants to go, but I'll throw the first little grenade out there. All right. So, as a man, you know, men and women see things differently. So now we're not trying to pick on the neighbors. So don't y'all be hitting us up like, man, y'all didn't give her a chance to talk and all that. She, you know,
I'ma hold it down.
I know. She, trust me, y'all, she can handle herself. But yeah. So what do men and women want? And I think when we talk about life in general, it could be relationship, it could be career, it could be that, any number of different things, church. But let's start with life. Okay, let's start with life.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just say, as a man growing up, as a boy growing up, I was like shown like, hey, man, you want, you know, the house, you want the car, you want the spouse or mate or whatever. You wanted all these different things, and what made you a man was like what you had.
Yeah.
Okay, and what type of job you had. So that's what we strive for. At least most guys, I don't know. No, that's what we taught. And later on, you learn something different. But I'm curious, as a not that you speak for the whole universe of women.
To be clear,
what was the mindset for women? You know, just in your view, some of the things that maybe you saw or observed.
Yeah. Well, I come from, you know, a special, not a special set of circumstances. Is actually quite common, sadly, is a lot of single women. You know, so a lot of the women wanted those careers. You know, they were striving to provide because the men weren't in position to do that.
Don't be scared to say that. Don't be scared.
Yeah, they weren't in position. They weren't stepping up. So the women, you know, from my view as a young lady, it was, okay, get the career, get the money, get the car, get the house. You know, that's what I was around. But as I grew older and started to connect with more women, you know, having more intimate relationships with women, I recognized that there was so much more that we wanted. But I never got to see that from my mother because she was working, you know, doubles sometimes. I didn't get to see her vulnerable side where she was able to say, I want to be loved on and hugged and cared for deeply and taken care of and taken out and, you know, all these things. So, you know, in my life, I feel like I get to have a good balance where I can go after the career, because I do still want that. You know, I know I've been called and I have a great purpose where I want to fulfill my purpose. But another thing that I know that women want is safety. We want security. We want to feel honored and respected and loved and cared for. And I feel like men want a lot of the same thing, but the way that it's expressed is differently. I think men's idea of love and women's idea of love and the expression of it is totally different.
Yeah.
Because women are very like, we need the reassurance, we need the affirmation. A lot of times when it comes to love, not every woman, but most women need that affection, that reassurance, that conversation, that emotional, affectionate love. Whereas men, their idea of love is
What do you feel like men need, not just speaking for yourself, but men need for as far as love go? What are we looking at?
You know, so it's interesting. I have 3 sisters, so I've had these conversations a bunch of times. But a lot of our women, like you said, they were having to be in a position where they were holding the house down. And so then the daughters, they see that example and they strive to be, you know, providers. They want to make sure that they're providing financial security and things. And so now what I see in this time, and, you know, I don't get involved in it because, you know, I'm married, whatever, but I see it on social media where it's almost like a little narrative between the men and the women, which is very confusing for somebody like me. But the thing is, some of those same qualities that made our mothers, our aunties, you know, our elders so strong and so respected, it can cause conflict in the household with the men because, to be honest, a lot of men that possess those qualities, they're providers, they have a lot of outward strength, they're not looking for that to be matched with their woman.
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes a little bit confusing if it's not displayed correctly, because at its core, love is love, because you can be a woman that's providing, strong, and you can still be very loving and comforting to your husband. But I think because a lot of us are trying to just figure this thing out on the fly, we don't have a really good blueprint. That's where some miscommunications happen. So just to answer the question, for me as a man, with somebody that I love, when I was choosing my wife, I needed somebody that was going to be able to make me feel like I can do anything for us. And in turn, I wanted to comfort her the way she needed to be comforted and be protected in all shapes and forms, financially, physically, spiritually, mentally. So we're both pouring into each other.
I think we all pretty much been hitting on a lot of the same stuff. One thing that I always say is, like, people have always been the same. Psychology hasn't changed. Like, we need the same things, whether it be 100 years ago or today or tomorrow. But the thing is, we got just like how, you know, you got 4 kids. So that means that this son right here, you got to deal with this son differently than you're gonna deal with this son. Okay, and that's just how we are, right? We got our individual, you know, interests, we got our individual desires, and we receive things differently sometimes.
Certain things, most men are wired the same in most respects. We want to feel like, okay, that we are appreciated in a relationship. We want to feel like that woman in our life is, that, you know, she one, respects us, 2, you know, kind of, because my wife does a great job making me feel loved. Okay, she will come over, and whether it be a touch or a hug or something like that. So, and most men are not, we're not instinctively affectionate.
Really? No, I've never experienced that.
So, we communicate. So it's still listen to you that. So in most cases, and I'm probably speaking myself a lot here, is that we do. Okay, so while we out hunting and gathering, we showing our love by hunting and gathering. So we look to get appreciated for our hunting and gathering. You know what I mean? So it's like you out here grinding, you working 2 jobs and all that. Unfortunately, when you come home and your spouse or your mate is saying, "Hey, I want to spend time with you on the couch. I want us to just hug. I just want us to just be in the same space." And he might be thinking about, "I want to go to sleep. I'm tired, you know. Hey, don't you understand that I've been working all day?" So when you talk about communication, you talk about that. And so understanding each other. So look, my wife has done a great job of pulling that out of me and knowing, so I know she likes flowers, so I need to get flowers. I gotta be selfless in order to show her love, and then she's doing the same for me because she know when I need my space too.
I think that's super important, the selflessness of it all. And it brings me to scripture, you know, love is patient, love is kind. Because in your own emotions, sometimes it's like, I don't want to be patient. I don't want to be kind. I want to remember what you did yesterday. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to forget about that. But I think that that's definitely the goalpost. Like that's what we should be striving for, is getting outside of our own emotions of what love looks like. And this is actually interesting because this is something I talk about with my friends a lot. We do this funny thing called "Give Me Your Crazy," because we have to learn how to lay things off on our wise counsel as opposed to allowing our emotions to get in the way of, good experiences. So I'm like, girl, give me your crazy, whatever you got. Because we have this limited view and perspective of what love looks like. And it's often misconstrued from like these highlight reels on social media of like what love looks like. And it's like, there's so many different ideas of love, but then there's a true instruction on what it takes to love. And just even outside of romantic relationships, I use the same thing in my relationships with friends and with family. I even had a conversation with you a few months back, like with my sister. I was like, I want to just like be mad at her, but I was like, I'll be a little more patient because this is what scripture tells me to do. It like convicted me because I wanted to just operate out of my own, like choice of like, no, this is what you did. I'm gonna hold on to it, and this is how I'm gonna respond, Lanasia. But if I'm saying I'm really aligning myself and being Christ-like, then how would Christ respond when you feel short? Okay, he would do this. He would be patient. He would be gentle. And I've noticed myself constantly asking, the simple question of what would Jesus do? That's shifted the way that I show up and love people, not just romantically, but also within all relationships, and love myself. I have to be patient with myself. I have to be kind to myself. I have to keep no record of wrong, with myself. And that's also, I was watching a clip of something I had a few months back, and it was like, we say we love ourselves, but your actions are the true test of like whether or not you're really loving yourself. So I think not to take it away from relationships, but to understand like the paramount relationship is the one that you have obviously with God and yourself, because that's going to dictate how you operate and navigate through every other relationship.
That's the model.
Absolutely.
That's the model. Because talking about the word, it tells us, hey, if whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that model, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because I wanted to make sure we got to that, because sometimes people are like, I don't know how to love. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of times when we don't know how to love, we don't have a close relationship with God.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also, one thing that we have to remember too, when we're talking about love and relationships, is that it's ever evolving.
Yeah.
You go through seasons, like it's a real thing. When I met my wife, we were in college, we were kids. Mm-hmm. What we described as love, or the season of love that we were in for our first few years, looks very different than what love looks like now. And I always say, my wife and I, we had these conversations where we were we are a little bit of a victim of our early success. Mm-hmm. It was so easy in the beginning. Me and my wife, we were amazing dance partners, like literally, but also just, we don't step on each other's toes. We never did. But the thing was, we couldn't anticipate how having kids was going to disrupt our structure that we never really worked on. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why I'm bringing this up. Is not about like the history on Mike's relationship, but it's like you have to anticipate different things. Like you have to seek knowledge, first by the word, but then also have counsel with people that have been there. Like, listen, this is how my path looked. Yeah. Not saying yours is going to look exactly like it, but here's some things that I did. Get somebody else. They're going to give you some strategies that work for them or didn't work for them. That's even better. Tell me what didn't work. Because now I don't got to make the same mistakes. So that's the biggest thing I was thinking as we were just talking about love, is just that it's ever evolving. And at each stage, it's going to require different strengths of us. And then also we have to suppress some of the weak emotions that are going to want to come up.
Absolutely.
Being married 23 years, being with my wife 30 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hey, don't just feel like we're still in the first year. But but the thing is that we still have to learn each other. Like, you know, how I understanding what I need.
Yeah.
And she understands what she needs. So when we do have that communication, I can say, hey, this is what I need. Because actually, we just, I mean, and this past week, because I was like, you know, there was a lot going on. And she was like, you know, I mean, I brought up a man 2.0. So I came in and, because she was, you know, kind of, we got to do this. So she hit me up. And then she sent me a text like, you seem like you irritated with me. I'm sorry.
That is such, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. But that message alone is so powerful. That is something that most people, I haven't experienced. Most people will not send that. You seem like you're irritated with me. Like most people just hide and they're like, well, I feel like you're irritated with me. I'm not gonna say nothing. And so because I feel like you're irritated with me, this and this and this is what's happening. And I'm gonna do this because you're obviously irritated. So it went from, I think you might be, to you're completely irritated with me, you hate me, and then now I'm gonna do this because of that assumption.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh my goodness. Please continue. I'm sorry.
You listening?
Assumptions will,
That was personal.
When she sent it, you know, I saw it and I knew, because I just had a lot going on. I called her back and said, look, I'm sorry. I said, I am irritated. I said, because I got a lot going on. So I'm feeling the pressure of everything I got to get done. And I feel like, you know, when I saw what you sent, I'm like, I felt it was piling on. But that's not what she was, you know, she didn't know that. So I needed to communicate that to her, but I needed to soften what I was doing. So, but you know, the thing was, when we talk about love, the fact that she sent that, because she sent it because she's like, hey, I'm gonna nip this in the bud before it gets to the point you're talking about, where it becomes in her mind. And early on in our relationship, we didn't communicate that way. We still are working on communication. So all I'm saying is that evolution piece, and love is evolution. You gotta evolve. If it don't evolve, love does not stay right here. It has to grow.
And what's important about that is, because Pastor Riley actually did share that story in Men 2.0, and we needed to hear that. This is a man that we respect. We know that he's been married for over 20 years in relationship. So we're listening. And I've been married over 10 years, but it's a constant evolution. I'm constantly learning. So just what Martell just did, man, you have to seek wise counsel. You have to seek positive counsel, because what happens is, with a lot of us, we were in the wrong rooms, hearing the wrong advice, and we taking that and running with it. Cause I've been in these atmospheres where, man, she told me she irritated. Man, I said, you know, go fly a kite. You know, you be like, yeah, that's what, and then it's like,
terrible
no.
in my
Now we're getting the wrong type of counsel. So this is why it's important that your circle is amazing, man. You gotta constantly feed each other. Like, hey, listen, brother, did you look at it from this way, look at it from that way? Because now we're growing each other the kingdom way versus the other way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's extremely important, is the kingdom way. You know, and this is what I love too about, like, just Rob and Corey. They my accountable friends. They don't play about, you know, it's never, Corey always says, like, I'm not gonna give you my opinion. I'm gonna ask you some questions that are about truth. And I love that, because it's not about my experiences. I'm not, you know, talking to you and giving you advice based off my limited perspective. I'm gonna ask you some things that, you know, align with an anchored truth that doesn't change, so that we can move you forward. Because my goal, and that's the most important thing, is like, who you're talking to, do they just want to make you feel good? Are they trying to, you know, like, are they trying to appease you? Or do they really want to make sure that you leave this conversation as the best version of yourself? You know, and that's when you know who you need to talk to, and, you know, who you probably need to stop talking to. Because if you leave, I had a conversation with my girl this summer, and I was like, you know, we have conversations a lot, but like, how often have we left a conversation and prayed after we vented, you know? And it's like, it's so important that we start to really incorporate more God into this relationship. Like, this is my homegirl, and we have prayed together, we have read scripture together, but I'm like, if we are venting, did we just let it out and walk away, or did we bring in the ultimate source of power, the infinite source of power that's gonna help us to grow, beyond this experience? That's extremely important. 30 years, 15 years, like who better to talk to about marriage? You know what I'm saying? Than the people who have the wisdom, the insight, and have obviously been led by God in some capacity, because you're not gonna make it that far by yourself.
Having the Holy Spirit, right? There's certain characteristics, there's certain traits that you have within you, and you can activate them. And then when you've been working in it for so long, they are just second nature to you. You don't have to, go back to the book to try to figure out what to do, because it's a part of you now. You just do it. And so when it comes to like communication, that's why I thought that message was so powerful, because instead of me making the assumption and then acting on something that's not real, instead of acting on that, I have to first check in. Now we got facts. When we have facts, let's move from that. And to your point, like, okay, we're gonna go with the truth. We're gonna start here because this is not gonna change. Man, it really, you can do damage, man. You can do some serious damage when someone does something or someone says something, and then you take that, and instead of going back and asking the question, like, what did you mean by that, right? Or you did this particular thing. Why did you do it that way? Like, what's going on with you? Instead of, I saw you do this, therefore you must be feeling this way. And when you do that, 9 times out of 10, I feel like people go the wrong way because you aren't in my mind. So how do you know?
Bringing it back to like men and women, right? Sometimes I feel like I don't even want to have the conversation just because I've already had like 5 this week. Because women are like more emotional. So we have to navigate and bring you in. Like one thing I didn't do in the past that I do now is I did used to operate in that assumptive, like, you know what? I assume that this is happening. So now I'm upset. So now I'm going to be cold. And now I'm like, Benasia, just have the conversation. And even though it's probably like 10 this week, they don't have to be long drawn out, but it's worth it, because especially if you have a partner who's open to have the conversation every time. Like Pastor Rodney could have easily been like, when she said, I'm irritated, he could have taken that and been like, you irritated. I'm working. You done gave me a lunch. You know what I'm saying?
Go fly a kite.
But that's why, go fly a kite. 100%. But that's why it's important.
Right, we all out here with kites now.
Yep.
Because, and that's why, like, I want to talk to you all about the emotions of men, because I feel like the difficulty in my past versus now is I didn't get to be my emotional self. And I'm not mismanaging my emotions, but I'm very expressive of my emotions. But having a partner who's open to the expression of my emotions makes it so easy for me to navigate. It turns an emotion and a conversation into something that lasts for 20 minutes, as opposed to something that becomes a conversation that now you're mad because I'm like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Now you mad because I'm just trying to get clarity. You know what I'm saying? So I want to know, like, what advice would you give to men? Because sadly, there have been so many experiences where men are so like out of whack emotionally that they're taking it as an attack, when really, because you could have easily taken I'm irritated as an attack.
Yep.
But you were so sound in your emotions, even with having everything going on, that instead of seeing that as a personal attack, you saw it as, okay, I wasn't expressing what was going on with me, so let me just communicate. I am, and it's not to say that you can't be irritated. Yeah. You express, I am irritated, but it's not personal towards you. This is what's going on. You're my partner. I'm bringing you in, letting you know I am mad, I am irritated, but not at you.
One thing, and I'm gonna use myself, and I think it mirrors a lot of men, is that we're taught not to share our emotions. And the problem that at least I know I ran into, and continue to kind of make sure I check myself on, is that I know I got a safe space. You said that my wife is not, she's my best friend, she's my cheerleader and all that. But when you're in a relationship, you don't know if you share those vulnerable things or those things you screwed up with whoever you're dating, how they gonna view it. So you kind of guard it. So when I'm just saying in your case, you come in and you're saying, well, you're feeling some kind of, you got something going on and you want to express yourself. We're not really equipped to be able to come back and receive it, because what we're trying to do is fix your problem. You follow me? And we got to learn, and Mike said this, we all said this before, sometimes we got to learn that you just want us to listen. And then I know one guy even talked about how, do you want me to help solve it? It might be you, Mike. Do you want me to help solve it, or do you want me to listen? You know what I'm saying? So, and I think as guys, we got to understand that you don't want to solve it. We need to listen first and figure out what you want us to do versus assuming.
Yeah, please. But I am a solution-oriented person, so I do want you to solve it. So I can't speak for other women, but I do want you to solve this problem or say the words. And that's another conversation. I'll let Mike go, but I'll go there in a minute.
So one thing I think is important, and it's kind of what, I know everybody at this table, hopefully everybody that's watching too partakes in, is self-work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, before you have a conversation with somebody else, or you say, hey, I noticed this happened with you, or what you were doing, and you gotta point that finger back at yourself. So this is one thing that I wanna advise any other young ladies that, well, not advise, I wanna just put into the universe. Y'all pick it up if y'all want to.
You want to go home?
We gotta, we have to first do self-reflection.
Absolutely.
We gotta talk to God about the offense. Then if we're saying, you know what, we still need to talk to our partner, then make that decision. Sometimes you gotta take a pause, because it's a time and a place. Because I will, just speaking on the brothers, if we keeping it real, let's keep it real. We're not gonna always be receptive to that.
Absolutely.
It's sometimes where it's like, you do got a million things going on. It may be a bad moment. That's another thing too. We gotta pick our moments. If you see that your spouse is going through a moment, they're kind of already in turmoil, you're like, all right, cool, I'm about to hit them right now. Hey, what about that thing that you did that irritated me? That might not be the greatest time. Yeah, because it's like, you know what I'm saying? So that's a grenade versus, I know my person because I've been studying them. They seem at ease spiritually, because you kind of can feel. And it's like, listen, and a lot of times it's not what you say, it's how you say it too. So this is about like bridging the gap that between a lot of our women and our brothers are having right now, where it's one team. One side can't win. Oh, y'all won that argument. She got me that side. No, it's like, listen, man, if y'all not able to win as a team, both of y'all lose. And that's one thing that we gotta constantly remind ourselves that first we gotta look at self, how can we help the team? Then the team, if both of us don't win, the team does not win. We gotta find a solution.
That's extremely important, especially that taking a pause, that 20-minute pause will change your life, because everything is not urgent. And that's where like the self-work comes in, is because sometimes as women, and I've been guilty of this, a lot of people, somebody was asking me at dinner last night, like, how are you so in control of your emotions? I'm like, practice. It takes a lot of practice. And a lot of women think, because I feel it, it's on. Like, it's on fire because I feel it. And you have to be able to have a strong enough relationship within yourself so you can say, am I feeling this because of a trigger from a past experience? Or is this really even happening? Because I've had conversations like, is this really even happening, or am I just thinking it's happening? And if you give it a day, a lot of times it's not even worth the conversation, and you want to have as little as possible, because there will be a million more.
It's almost like when you even when you're having that in the middle of that conversation, like you might be on the phone, or you might face to face with them, and y'all are going like having that tough conversation, it's like, even in that, I have learned to continuously, even I could be still talking, but then I'll be thinking about what am I saying and why am I saying it and how do I feel about it? And is this real? Like, am I basing what I'm saying and everything on real things, or am I catching myself in an assumption right now?
Yeah.
And it's like, have I made any sort of assumption about how they might feel before I say this?
Yeah.
Have I made any sort of assumption about what might have happened that led to this thing? And then if I am continuously doing this, and if both sides are continuously doing this, then we can actually get somewhere. That's what I've noticed. Because if we don't, if I'm not reflecting on me and I'm only going off of this is how you made me feel and this is what you need to do because of it,
Yeah.
we always gonna go down the wrong way.
Yeah.
For men, you hit it. I think we all touched on it, and you gave insight as well too. It is about that self-reflection. You brought up
Continuously.
it is,
Yeah,
and it's I think you said too when you was in your comment. We if it ain't about who gonna win. Oh, Mike said that, yeah. And then but you were talking about how thinking about your words, and that's one thing when I communicate with my wife. I'm trying to feel like where I'm at, and even if I'm upset, I gotta bring my words and my tone. I mean, it's almost like I gotta turn that volume down, intentionally turn it down.
Absolutely.
It's amazing that we can like separate ourselves from the moment to then reflect on ourselves in the moment.
Yeah.
And when you can do that,
And that's
super powerful.
practice. You have to do it intentionally, like in your daily work of just like, even my morning routine. I start my day managing my emotions, because there's a lot of times I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to get up at 3:30. Like, are you a crazy person? Like, are you really doing this today? Like, for what? So when you start to get into the practice of, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to make my bed, I'm going to go to the gym, I don't feel like it. As many times as you can tell yourself, I don't feel like it, but I'm going to do it anyway, you start to build up that strength in that particular area of managing those emotions. So now when you come to an adverse situation, a real challenge, you're able to manage it because you've been practicing managing your emotions in all these small areas. Even when you say no to a cookie over an apple, and most people never say no to their emotions. The emotions are the decision-making authority throughout their entire day and their entire life. And that's why they quit on everything. They are irate and, end up messing up relationships because they are practicing, I want to watch TV right now, but I'm going to read the book. I want to have a cookie, but I'm going to have an apple. Those little things help you to get control of your emotions, because we are emotional beings and we make so many emotional decisions. And when you decide that my emotions aren't in control, I am, and start to tell yourself that more and more throughout the day, you'll see that the balance changes and you start to know how to navigate through, high emotionally intense situations.
So when you come into like a situation where you are faced with, or you feel like you should ask that question, like you seem upset. One thing that I've kind of done this, I don't even know, I think this has to be the Holy Spirit, because I've kind of done it instinctively, but I feel like it's the best way to come across to do a full evaluation before you completely cut something.
Definitely.
And it first starts with, okay, someone hasn't been performing. Okay, we have these set of tasks that they need to be doing, and it needs to be done by Friday. Okay, and so we've gotten week 1, week 2, they did this, but they didn't complete this, or they did this, they didn't complete this, or the next week they didn't do anything at all. Okay, first, before I just come at them and say, all right, you didn't do this, and this is what's wrong with you, you gotta go. First, I need to evaluate, okay, did I give them the tools that they needed to actually complete this? And first check that. Okay, so, and if I gave them the tools, did I give them also how to use the tools? Like, have I checked to see if they actually know how to use the stuff that I gave them? Okay, if I can check that box off. And then, now, let's get to the conversation. Okay, so, now these things are happening. Before I come and tell you you're fired, I first need to figure out, okay, so, we made sure that we gave you this. We also walked through all of these different processes, and it seemed like you were figuring it out. You seemed like you had it all together. what would you say is the reason why this wasn't completed? Is there something that you need from me so that to make sure that you can do this? And then we evaluate what that answer is. If the answer is, oh, I just didn't feel like it, then we know what to do after that. Because the thing is, it's like I've already checked the bases within myself. I made sure that I brought everything that I could to the table. And I also checked in with you to make sure that you had what you needed so that we can do what we needed to do. And so after that point in time, now all of this is already figured out. I know it's on you now.
That is precise. I think that's a wonderful breakdown because I don't think people break it down into steps as to, we talk about going from being emotional and having a conversation, but those steps are like superb.
And I think it's important that you take those steps proactively.
Yeah.
You can't wait until it's too late. Somebody's already almost out the door because they haven't been meeting the standard, and then you're like, on your way out, you didn't do this and that. And it's like, well, hold on, I didn't even know.
No.
You know what I'm saying? We've all been in these situations like, I didn't
Kite
know
is
that
at the
was,
door, go ahead and fly.
I was having a conversation with my sister yesterday, and she was like, the lady, she asked me to go get her some lunch, and I'm like, and then she asked me another time, and he's like, I don't know if she knows, it's not in my job description. And so I was like, man, that's important. Like, y'all need to clarify them duties. Yeah. And so when we're going back to relationships, it's important that you give your partner, your spouse, because this is your partner. You got to give them time that they know you're going to proactively check in with them. Hey, how you feeling?
Yeah.
Like, are you good? What's going on? Because if they know they have that allocated time, then they don't always have to just react. Yeah. You know what? I'm irritated. I may not get another chance, so I got to say it now.
Proactive. I think like that word is like, it saves lives, just getting in the motion. So when the time comes, the challenges are coming. And this is what we have to get in our minds is like, there will be adversity. How do I prepare for the adversity before it comes? It doesn't mean that I'm on edge every day looking around the corners for the adversity. It means when it comes, I'm already gonna have the momentum to know how to, swing and hit the mark when the time comes. So I think that's extremely important, preparation.
Well, y'all heard it. I think we definitely summarized it in a few different ways. And there was all kinds of different themes in this conversation, but I think a few that stood out to me was, one, stop making assumptions.
Yeah.
Make sure you got your screening process to even evaluate if you are making an assumption.
Definitely.
And then also too, has to be a continuous self-reflection process for yourself. It's like when you come at somebody else, make sure you have checked yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Before you wreck yourself.
It saves lives. Look. Also too, and this I was just thinking about these lights in this room, and it reminded me that we have something in here typically. It's on the second Saturday of every single month.
Are you talking about Man 2.0?
Man 2.0. Could you tell us about that?
Man 2.0, look, we want you to come out second Saturday of the month, 10 to 12. Now, we're here in Ferndale, but basically that's every second Saturday of the month. You find information. Men come out, we talk about how God designed man, the biblical principles, and how we deal with life. So we deal with the miseducation of men in that session.
Again, Laser, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. This has been fun.
And so if you like this episode, I know it. I know you're gonna love the one on your screen. So we will see you there. Peace.
Peace.